Hello, welcome back to the reading of the poem of the Man God, written by Maria Valtorta, Volume 4, Chapter 474, Part 1. Jesus with the leprous sinners of Bethlehem in Galilee. 19th August, 1946. The rough massif of Bethlehem dominates to the north, concealing the view. But where the steep slopes of this mountainous group begin, and they appear almost sheer to the caravan track running from Ptolemais toward Sepphoris and Nazareth, there are many caves among the rocky blocks protruding from the mountain, hanging over the abyss, and placed like roofs and supports to the caverns. As it is customary near the more important roads, there are some lepers who keep aloof but are sufficiently close to be seen and assisted by wayfarers. It is a small colony of lepers who give their scream of warning and invocation when they see Jesus pass with John and Abel. And Abel looks up at them, saying, "This is he of whom I spoke to you. I am taking him to the two men you know, having nothing to ask the Son of David. What we ask everybody: bread, water, to eat our fill while pilgrims pass by. Later, in winter, we shall be starving. I have no food today, but I have health with me." But the suggestive invitation to have recourse to the health is not accepted. The lepers turn their backs and withdraw from the cliff. They go round the spur of the mountain to see whether any pilgrims are coming from the other road. I think that they are heathen sailors or idolaters. They came a short time ago, driven out of Ptolemais. They came from Africa. I do not know how they were taken ill. I know that they were healthy when they left their country, and after a long tour along the African coast to get ivory, and I believe also pearls to be sold to Latin merchants, they arrived here and were diseased. The harbor officials isolated them and burned even their ship. Some took the roads to Syrophoenicia, and some came here. These ones are more dangerously ill, because they can hardly walk anymore. But their souls are even more diseased. I tried to instill some faith into them. They asked for nothing but food. Perseverance is required in conversions. What does not succeed in 1 year may succeed in 2 or more. One must insist speaking of God, even if they appear to be like the rocks sheltering them. Am I wrong then in providing food for them? I always brought them some food before the Sabbath, because the Jews do not travel on Sabbaths and no one thinks of them. You did the right thing. You said it yourself. They are heathens, thus more anxious about their bodies and blood than their souls. The loving care you have for their hunger awakes their affection towards the unknown person who sees to them. And when they love you, they will listen to you, also when you speak of something which is not food. Love preludes the desire to follow him whom one has learned to love. They will follow you one day in the ways of the Spirit. Corporal works of mercy pave the way for spiritual ones, which make it so free and level that the entry of God in a man prepared in such a way for the divine meeting takes place without the individual knowing it. He finds God within himself, and he does not know whence he entered. Once, at times, behind a smile, behind a compassionate word, behind a piece of bread, there is the initial opening of the door of a heart closed to grace, and the beginning of God's journey to enter that heart. Souls, they are the most varied thing there is. No matter, and there are so many matters on the earth, is so varied in its aspects as souls, in their tendencies and reactions. See this mighty terebinth. It is the middle of a wood of terebinths like it in species. How many are there? How many are they? Hundreds and hundreds, perhaps 1,000, perhaps more. they cover this rough slope of the mountain, exceeding with their sharp, healthy smell of resins every other scent of the valley and mountain. But look, they are 1,000 and more, but if you watch carefully, there is not one like any other in thickness, height, power, inclination, disposition. Some are as straight as blades. Some face north, some south, some east, some west. Some have grown in deep earth, some on a protrusion, and no one knows how it can support the tree and how it can stand up itself, outstretched as it is over the abyss, almost forming a bridge, with the other versant high above the torrent, which is now dry, but is so stormy in the rainy season. Some are twisted as if a cruel man had tortured them when they were tender plants. Some are faultless. Some are leafy almost as far down as the ground. Some are bare with just a tuft of leaves on their tops. Some have branches only on the right-hand side. Some are leafy below, while their tops have been burned by lightning. This one is withered and survives only in an obstinate branch, one only, which has come up almost from the root, sucking the surviving sap, which dried up at the top. And this one, the first one I pointed out to you, as beautiful as a tree can be, has it perhaps a branch, a twig, a leaf? What do I say speaking of one leaf out of the thousands which it bears, which is like any other? They seem to be, but they are not. Look at this branch, the lowest one. Look at its top. Just at the top of the branch, how many leaves are on that top? Perhaps 200 thin green needles. And yet see, is there one like any other in shade, size, freshness, flexibility, bearing, age? There is not. It is the same with souls. As numerous as they are, as many are their differences in tendencies and reactions. And he who is not capable of understanding them and working on them according to their various tendencies and reactions is not a good master and doctor of souls. It is not an easy task, my friends. One must study continuously and be accustomed to meditation, which enlightens more than reading fixed text for a long time. The book which a master and doctor of souls must study are the souls themselves. As many pages as souls, and in each page sentiments and passions of past and present times, and in the embryo stage. So what is required is continuous, diligent, meditative study, constant patience, endurance, courage, in doctoring the most putrid wounds, to cure them without showing disgust, which disheartens the patient. And one must act without false pity, which, in order not to mortify anybody by uncovering putrefaction and not removing it lest the rotten part might suffer, allows it to become gangrenous, poisoning the whole body. And at the same time, prudence is needed to avoid irritating the wounds of hearts and with too coarse manners, and not to be infected by their contact. One must not be so sure of oneself as to pretend that one is not afraid of being infected when dealing with sinners. And where do all these virtues, necessary to the master and doctor of souls, find light to see and understand? Where do they find patience, which at times is heroical, to persevere, although they are requited with indifference and often with insults, and their strength to doctor wisely, their prudence not to injure patients in themselves? In love, always in love. It throws light on everything. It gives wisdom, strength, and prudence. It preserves from the curiosity which causes people to take upon themselves the faults which have been cured. When one is full of love, one cannot have any other desire or science but love. See, doctors say that when a man has been on the point of dying of a disease, it is most likely that he will catch the same disease again, because his blood has already been infected by it and has overcome it. The concept is not perfect, but it is not entirely wrong. But love, which is health and not a disease, does what doctors say, and with regard to all bad passions, he who is deeply in love with God and his brothers does not do anything which may grieve God and his brothers. Consequently, even if he approaches people with diseased spirits, and he becomes acquainted with matters which love had so far concealed, he is not corrupted by them, because he remains faithful to love and does not commit sin. What do you expect sensuality to be when one has overcome it through charity? What are riches for those who find all treasures in the love of God and of souls? What are gluttony, avarice, incredulity, indolence, pride, for those who crave only for God, for those who give themselves, even themselves, to serve God, for those who find all their good in his faith, for those who are urged by the untiring flame of charity, and work indefatigably to give joy to God, for those who love God. To love him is to know him, and cannot become proud because they see themselves as they are with regard to God. This has been a reading from the poem of the Man God, written by Maria Valtorta, Volume 4. Chapter 474, Part 1, Jesus with the leprous sinners of Bethlehem in Galilee. Thank you for listening. I will see you tomorrow. May God bless you, and may peace be with you.